Hey, good Monday morning, everyone. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We had a great weekend. The weather is finally starting to turn, and spring is here. So we're in the 70s and 80s now. So sorry about you guys in the east that aren't there yet. But spring is finally here. Seems like a long time coming this year. So I'm going to get right into the questions. We've got two questions today and two sign carvers of the day. So let's get into this coffee and questions here. First one is from Andy Earl, my buddy. Says, I'm having some trouble carving with lines, or with carving lines, excuse me. Specifically curved lines, such as a circle around the edge of the round, the pine round. It seems whenever I hit a different grain, it gets a wobble in the line. Is my speed too slow, too fast, not cutting deep enough, or am I just not experienced enough? And then he goes into, maybe someday I'll be as good as you or something like that. So thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Okay, so, and you guys that especially are new, that are kind of inexperienced with holding a line with the router, these round pines that a lot of you guys are using from Home Depot, and I think Lowe's has them too, is this kind of material. This is just, this isn't one of the rounds. This is, actually, I think Dad picked this up for some reason. He was making something. It's one of those stairs, the stair lengths that they have down at Lowe's. But it's basically the same material as those round pine rounds. So, what happens is, and many times, and this is a laminated board, and let me get to the cut end, and many times it has a vertical grain on it, and that's where you really run into problems. If it's more of a flat grain, not necessarily, but when it's a vertical grain like that, a lot of times your router bit, when it hits that grain, it gets really hard in the grain, and then it's soft where there is no grain. So let's go over a few reasons why that might be happening. Number one, make sure you've got the right router bits. I've always said 80% of this stuff is the right router bits and having them sharp, and the material. This material is not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. So make sure that your router bits are right. Second of all, make sure that your router base is sliding on that board really well. Use a silicone spray. Use something on there to make sure you've got no interferences with that router base sliding well. You have to have that, because if it catches some kind of a little sticky part or something like that, that's going to throw you off. So make sure of that. Now, if you end up with a board like this, what you might do, you want to keep a steady motion with that router. Keep it moving. Every time you stop, that's when you're going to run into a possible bobble or wave or misalignment on your line. So keep that router moving. If you're doing let's say this was round, and I'm going to do a single line all the way around it, I would use that technique like on video. I looked it up, video number 66, where I put the edge of I put my fingers here and I follow that line. Now, if I get to the point, and say for instance, if this was round and I'm coming around, I can only do so much at a time. But when I get to the end of that specific line, I'll lift the router real quick, not just stop, because that's when you end up getting a bobble. So you kind of lift the router a little bit. You'll see that on, you should see that on video newsletter number 66. So the other thing is try going shallow first. Then you go back and you cut deeper. The reason being is the least amount of material that you're taking out, the less drag it is on the router. So it's going to be much easier to carve shallow than it will be to carve deep. But you can't go too shallow, otherwise you'll sand out your line. So cut shallow first and then go around, set it a little bit deeper, and go around and go your full depth. If you have to make it in 3 passes, doesn't really matter. So just try that. That will help eliminate bobbles and you know, your lines kind of going off when you hit those hard grains. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that should help you guys. I hope it does. All right, second question from Dan Yotis. When you first surface the board, what exactly are you doing? Just sanding down with 120 grit to make it as flat as possible before you lay out and carve? And no, not necessarily. Here's a piece of that cedar fencing. And again, you guys will notice that it has a cup to it. So this would be the surface of my board. I wouldn't want the cup going the wrong way. I want the crown in the center.
Set it down just a little.
The crown in the center. So when I surface these, and you can see this is just a blank board that I cut that I'm going to make a 12 by 20 or a 6 by 24 sign out of. I had to putty up the a couple little cracks in the knots and stuff. But if you look at the surface of this board, I'm not trying to make it flat when I sand it. I'm just trying to make it so that when my hand runs across that board, I don't get splinters. That's all I'm really looking for. And to get a clean line when I spray my layout on there. Spray or if you're going to use carbon paper method, whatever. I just want it. So before I do this, obviously, I'll sand that down and get that, you know, my putty off of there before I start making a sign out of it. But you can see the back side. This is, you know, that's completely rough. That's just the way I brought it home from Lowe's. But it doesn't really matter. I'm not even going to touch that until the sign is completely done. Then I'll sand off the back. On the surface, that's where I just want to sand it down. And I don't use a 120. I'll just use an 80 probably. Yeah, probably an 80 with the grain, just to get that roughness off there, so I don't get splinters in my hand when I'm doing it, and I get a sharp line on my layout. So hope that helps. Oh, by the way, definitely if you guys turned me off early here on the video, you don't want to do that today. We've got a brand new segment coming on right at the end of this video that I think you guys will like, and it's going to be a regular thing on Mondays and Wednesdays. So stay till the end, definitely. All right, sign carvers of the day. David Percival, I think it's Percival, from the UK. Unbelievable. His very first sign ever. Check that out. That is amazing. You guys out there, you newcomers and people that are new to this stuff, it just is completely astounding me how you guys are starting from the beginning and carving signs like that. My first 100 signs didn't look like that. I mean, that's just, I wish the picture was a little bit better. It's kind of a grainy picture, but David, amazing. It just astounds me. All right, so next sign carver of the day. This one's really cool. This looks like a piece of that. This could have been out of one of those rounds, but it's that laminated panel board is what it looks like to me. I don't know. Dale may have glued it up himself, but it's definitely pine.
I love this sign.
Yeah, this one is really, really cool. Great job on that, Dale.
There we go.
Carved all with the 60-degree V-groove, which is a killer bit. That thing is awesome. I love cutting with that.
That's awesome. I love that sign.
It's amazing. Yeah. Great job, Dale. So, sign carvers of the day. So, let's see. What other announcements? We're still waiting on... We should hear on the Vegas thing this week. That's what we're really hoping for. So, I'm going to make some calls today, actually. So, hopefully I'll have some news for you on Wednesday. Yeah, this next segment, as soon as I'm done here, as soon as the camera goes off, you're going to see a brand new segment for us. And we've got more great stuff coming this weekend, so stay tuned. I guess that's it. What am I forgetting? Please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Should see a subscribe button down below. All of you, thank you for sharing and liking our videos, and keep up the great work. Keep sending me questions. Now that I'm doing multiple questions on the Coffee and Questions, keep sending me questions. I'm stacking them up, and let us see your signs. I'd love to show them on camera. So everybody, Have a great day, and we will see you on Wednesday morning. So stay tuned. Here comes the next segment. Have a great one.
For it.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Dave with a thought for the day. Now, since this is my first one, I'm going to give you a little background on Eric and Vicki. Thought, that I should put something in here. I'm, going on nearly 83, and I've had my kids come to me for advice. I've had my family come to me for advice. I've had my grandchildren, and now even my great-grandchildren come to me for advice. So I thought, well, I'll put a little thought for today into a video, and see if it helps anybody else the way they've helped me. And sometimes it'll be thoughts that I've developed, and sometimes it'll be thoughts that somebody else has developed. But each thought for today, I think you'll find interesting if you stop and think about it. So, thought for today. Zig Ziglar, back in the 70s, he was a motivational speaker. I read something that he wrote that has stuck with me. It's when I started my business. It's everything that I've done with my business, with my son coming into the business. And the thought is this: you can have everything you want in life if you will help enough other people get what they want. That's a simple thought, but if you think about it, you can have everything you want providing you help enough other people get what they want. So that's the thought for today. See you next time.